All right. Well, Lacey Evans actually did something. She punched Becky Lynch. Holy shit. Banana. Banana. Bump, bump, bump. Whew. Oh my god, things almost fell. Alright. Banana. Hold on, everyone. Do 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 do. Boom. All right. So, I'm just waiting for some people to come in here. You know, we are here live. It's the first time doing a Crazy Talk podcast in a while. Let me know if the audio sounds good and all that jazz. Hey, Big Bro Ken with the rate of 14. So, I want to thank everyone that came by. This is the return episode of the Crazy Talk podcast. Let me know if my voice sounds good. I want to make sure that everything is fine. I have a Royal Rumble set up for the background, just in case, you know, because why not? So yes, this shall do. Entrance on. All right. Alright, so once again, welcome to the Crazy Talk podcast number 6. I have some topics, of course, that we're going to be discussing as of tonight. We're going to be talking about things, the current events of EFED. Fame, hater, Mr. Sexy Voice. Hello, Zoe. So, if you're just now coming in, welcome. But let me start with the topics we're going to be talking about today at the Crazy Talk podcast. Is the current events of EFED, things that are happened recently, and things that are going to be happening shortly. We're going to be talking about Fame, the big sim company that is still new, is booming, is the thing to talk about in the community. We're going to be also talking about Sim versus EFED, the competitive nature of EFED, and we're going to be talking about Unite for some people that want to discuss some their opinions on it, and I can also give my take since I am part as well. Oh my god, Harris, you would say that. So, first up with the current events of EFED. So, for those that don't recently know, there has been big pay-per-views that have happened recently when it comes up to EFED. Code of Honor, KCOH, had their WrestleCade 6, very successful pay-per-view. Like, the pay-per-view drew at least over 100. It managed, to get over 110, and I know it was averaging at least 100 and over for a good amount of hours of the duration of the pay-per-view. Also, other papers that happened recently, XWW, the partnership of XWW, the Pro X and Biohazard brand with Underground also had their Covenant pay-per-view, which for those that don't know was a pay-per-view of both shows. So I didn't get to see much of it, but I know it was very entertaining from some of the parts I saw, and I know it was very well received. So I don't know if they're going to continue to do any more of those in the future, but oh my, am I coming out first? I am. Oh my god. Alright. Those are some of the things that have recently happened when it comes up to eFed. Things are coming up. CWA have their big pay-per-view, their WrestleMania type pay-per-view Olympus Force coming up this week. I think it's this Sunday, and I'm excited for it. I'm nervous about it, but I'm excited for it at the same time because, you know, of course, it's Olympus season. You know, we went through the huge success of WrestleCade, and now Olympus are right around the corner. You know, it's gonna be great. Also, for those that are watching, feel free to say anything in chat. You know, put out your opinions, ask me any type of questions, and I will read them out. So I'm just having a little beverage. I should have turned down the music in this game. Goddamn. What's the size? The size of what? But yes, those are some of the FIFA of your pride. I have a lot of pride. Oh my goodness. But some other things. What was the next topic? Fame! Alright, so Fame. Recent, well, not really that recent, but a sim company, arguably one of the top sim companies now that is new to the scene. And Fame, obviously a descent of the formerly known huge company of CTO. Fame is a company for, you know, some people tell me it still goes up to a high standard, but Fame is also a place, an opportunity for new simmers and even e-fedders coming into the sim. So, you know, I think it is really good that Fame is one of those companies that, you know, are open and they reach out to people that are new like that. You know, give people an opportunity, because it's really good to give new people an opportunity. You know, there's obviously places like XWW, Exodus, and WCW that are very open when it comes up to things like this. You know, granted, all three of those companies, you know, the owners also have been in eFed, so, you know, they're understanding when it comes up to, like, how both sides of the community work and, you know, what it's like. So it's like, you know, I say there's just like a really good understanding, like maybe even closer connection when it comes up to, you know, those three sim companies, you know, reaching out, being open to new simmers and even e-fedders transitioning over. And that is nothing to take away when the owners of Fame. I know they are very approachable, they are very understanding. I have talks with some of them, and hold on, excuse me for a second. Or excuse me. I've talked to some of them, and they are really nice people. But I feel like, you know, for example, the owner of Exodus, you know, known as Chris Midas or Don Frost, you know, would have a more understanding when it comes up to certain situations of, like, you know, e-fedding and maybe e-fedders transitioning over. That's just my take. What are all of your opinions? Let me know in the chat on how you feel. And once again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And starting off this Rumble, me versus Minoru Suzuki. Me oh my. Now, yeah, Fame, you know, of course, like, Fame is already big in my opinion. They've only come out with one episode. Yeah, one episode. I know the second one might be around the corner. I don't know. Like, I don't know when the second one's coming out. I don't even know if they did a release date. I'm bad at keeping track with things like that. And I know one person in here in the chat, Ryan Swift, you know, a part of Fame. In April, it's going to be in April. All right. So, second episode of Fame in April. Well, this month, I should say. Since it is April, I'm saying probably pushing back though. Yeah, you know, like they're, you know, it could be like maybe middle or towards late of this month. You never know. Hi, I'm Swift. Hi. Hello, hi Red. Hi, oh my goodness. Hey! Swift Guy 09 is now hosting the stream with 1 billion viewers. Thank you so much for the host. You know, it's great to have my account back. Thank God I got my Twitch back. Because now I can have my alert box up and people fall do anything, I can see now finally. Again. But, next topic. Sim versus eFed. Oh my goodness. This is just something within itself. So, Sim versus eFed. I'm not talking, I should be more specific about it. It's not really the two communities itself, you know, and the animosity as what it feels like, you know, between, you know, each other, or maybe whatever tension, but it's more of like, I should say, the people within it, like Simmers and eFedders. I'm giving you completely unbiased in this, and us, of course. Oh, she looked something out. Wow. But no, just to give my take on it, you know, I'm not saying eFedders have not, you know, talk shit or be closed-minded about Sim. I know, like, one has, but, you know, he's only exclusive to one company, and, you know, he's been around for many years, but, you know, other than that, like, I'm pretty sure there has been eFedders that, you know, have a closed-minded mindset, I should say, or closed-minded perspective when it comes up to people in Sim. And wow, I got eliminated. They're probably saying like, oh, Sim is dumb, or like, you know, stupid. Like, you know, I probably have heard, you know, that stuff before. I can't remember, to be honest with you. But, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, there's probably eFedders that have never done that or acted like that, because, you know, I can't speak for everybody, and I'm not going to assume anything. My God. I should have streamed this on Xbox. I would have had people to talk to. Well, actually, no, it wouldn't make a difference because I can't talk to my Xbox. I can join parties from the mobile app anyway, so I have an open mind, but if I hear one more person eFed is lower than Sim, I'm gonna start slapping. Oh my goodness. But no, like, you know, it's just, to me, alright, and once again, I'm not assuming anything, I'm not saying eFedders don't do this shit, but like, to me, I have not seen, you know, that much eFedders, you know, speak in the way about Sim as I've seen some Simmers talk about eFed. SwiftGuy09 says, there are negatives and positives for both sides, and it's down to preference, not what's better, because there's no answer for that. Yeah, like, well, I was gonna say, you know, I've seen like a good amount of Simmers, you know, I've heard them and I've seen them, you know, say like, oh, eFed, you know, is below Sim, or eFed is the quote-unquote independent scene, or, you know, eFed is the cancer of the community. And, you know, I agree, but one looks down the other a lot more. You know, and, like, I don't want to say that one looks down more than the other, but, like, you know, a part of me does have the feeling of, like, Sim, I don't know if denounce is the right word, but, or discreet. You get what I mean, like, towards eFed, you know, like, once again, like I've said, I've seen and heard somebody somewhere say, like, oh, it's the independent scene, or it's cancerous, or, you know, there's no quote-unquote, actual work put into eFed, or, oh, you know, it's just, imagine people looking at AI play as their call, you know, things like that. Maximum Force Universe said both sides need to get over it. We all buy the game and pay our money for it, so why not enjoy the game / products for what they are? I find it annoying. I do too. You know, it's just enjoy the game that you want it. You know, I'm a part of both sides of the community, so it's like I have an understanding. I have a really good understanding for one, and I'm still learning and getting more of an understanding for the other. But the fact that there's still an understanding there to begin with, at least I can have a little bit for both. That's all you need. You just need a little bit for both. You can see like the positives, negatives of both, and it also gives you a wider perspective on some things. I understand the struggles of EFED, and I can understand the struggles of Sim. So therefore, I can't be closed-minded and go, well, this is the struggles of this, so whatever they do, it doesn't matter. Because of this, that, and this. See, like to us, to EFEDers, I don't know what I'm saying to us, I do both, but like to EFEDers, is more than just like people looking at AIs fighting their call. That's a part of it, but that is what EFED is based around of. I'll give more time. I'm just gonna read comments real quick. Swift9 says it does, but it's just how it works. For whatever dumb reason, I can't answer that, and we can't judge it. We just need to try not to do that. Leo the ZNH said, just do what you like. I agree. Swift9 says it's more natural for people to look up for whatever reason. Maximum Force Universe said I'm an EFED only, but I enjoy watching sim shows. The only difference is the outcomes. I agree. EFED there is no predetermined outcome because it really does depend on the person that built the cause. So like the prediction, as I already said, is going to be unpredictable. For MFW, not MFW, Sim, I should say, excuse me. For the viewer, of course, the outcome is unknown still, but there is the fact that there is a certain amount of people, when it's either just 2 or 3, guaranteed know what the outcome is. So but there is and have been matches that are fantastic. Us EFEDers, we do complain that the AI is dumb a lot. Alright, we can't agree on this. But we have seen the AI put on phenomenal matches. Some simmers would argue like, oh, it's dumb to see like, and I've heard this before, like, oh, it's stupid, just imagine sitting there watching cause fighting, and watching yourself kick out of like 20-something finishers. Okay, so what? They act like, AI's kicking out 20-something finishers happens all the time, and it's that easy. With the current state of EFED and how people are, and how good people are getting at it, and how competitive it is, to us, when we hear that, we say, well, that's an over-exaggeration. Because obviously we don't see that. We'll see people lose at like 3-4 finishers. And, and most of us, if we see someone kick out 4, 5, or 6 finishers, we freak the fuck out. Because, that is the actual expectation. That is the actual, reaction of us. To them, it's, oh, they kick out like 20 or 30 something finishers all the time. To us, it's, yeah, we know we're going to lose in probably 2 to 3 to 4 finishers. And if we kick out a 4 to 5 to 6, that's fucking insane, But the point is, there has been AIs that have put on good matches. And, AIs have been clever sometimes putting on great sequences. Putting on really good spots. As I already said, sequences. The AI is capable of doing that. Although it doesn't happen all the time, because obviously, you're not playing as the match, the AI is controlling the match, even though the AI can be dumb, it is still a special moment, and people still get that pop of that moment happening, just like you would see people do the same reaction in Sim. Alright? So with Sim, of course you're going to get that match value a lot more often for the fact that, people are playing that. It's predetermined, they play on the matches, they play on the spots, because since they can control the match. You know, they can be basically guaranteed that the match is going to be great. You know, they have that freedom, that creativity to think out and plan, know what's going to happen, that they know people will enjoy. You know, that's what the struggle is when it comes up to Ife. You know, although we really enjoy what we see and what we do, you know, we do accept the fact that we don't really have 100% control of, you know, what we do in the matches and what the match outcome is going to be, and, like, you know, the match value, what's going to happen in it, you know. But it happens. We understand that. We accept that. We're not bothered by it. That's the difference. So, leave it to Z Nation. I just don't like being belittled by enjoying the one more at the moment. And the Z Nation also said, one, you put the story, the other, you solely adapted to a story that fits what ends up happening. Maximum Force Wrestling said, the difference I see is EFED is weekly and Sim can take weeks/months to build. Yeah, exactly. You know, and that's what also the other things, you know, that, you know, EFED will also argue when it comes up to Sim. You know, some Sim think that, you know, EFED is just matches. There's no actual story. There's no actual character. Well, I highly disagree with that. You know, there is a lot of character in EFED. You know, people know what they're doing, and they know how to master their craft, and they know how to portray what they are trying to portray. You know, get the point across of who they are. But, like, once again, EFED being weekly, you know, you have more of that product to see on a more frequent basis, and also, you know, with how EFED is still capable of doing storylines, you know, you can just pre-record things, and, you know, cuts, and the effort that people do put in by making cutscenes and stuff to play, you know, the fact that it is a weekly show, a lot more people are gravitated, and a lot more people are happy for that fact on how more frequent it is in compared to Sim. Now, I'm not saying Sim is bad for how long it takes. You know, everyone understands why it takes so long. Because obviously all the production, editing, and everything that goes into it, you know, it's completely understandable on why it takes, you know, up to months for a Sim show to come out. You know, but the point is, like, there's still people out there that are bummed out on how long it takes. You know, there is people that, and, you know, sometimes I felt that way too. It's like, oh man, you know, it kind of sucks that, you know, I'm gonna see myself once in every, you know, how so months. Where EFED, it's like, oh, you know, I can see myself once every week, you know. And I'm not saying that. I'm not telling people, like, oh, don't do Sim, you know, don't do this and that. No, like, do whatever you want. Sim is amazing. I find Sim to be so entertaining and all that, because, you know, the creativity that people are able to bring, and the production and graphics and, you know, editing style that people put into it. That's why it makes the product such an entertaining thing. But, you know, it's just that unfortunate part on how long it takes for something to come out. Maximum Force Wrestling said, a lot of stories happen on screen and inside chat/timelines. You know, and that's, you know, I do agree with that. You know, from something that I've seen by experience, you know, some people like to develop, you know, even with EFED, even with it still being weekly, people try to develop tension and storyline or whatever they're trying to accomplish, you know, maybe on a Twitter timeline, or they do in a group chat. You know, to me, I don't see why in a group chat, you know, it's not publicly seen, and, you know, sure, it still builds whatever tension, but only people within that company is going to see it. You know, the purpose of a storyline or a feud, you know, it's supposed to grab the interest of, you know, maybe your fellow co-workers, but also grab the interest of, you know, the viewers, the people that are not a part of that company, and, you know, they still watch. So, like, to me, you know, I can understand why people also do it in chats, but at the same time, I see the purpose of why people shouldn't do it, you know, to for the sake of getting more public eye and attention towards it. Therefore, bringing more interest to what you're doing and a lot more viewership to the product. But like going back to the original topic, I don't like that Simmers have said eFed is the quote-unquote independent scene, or if you're a part of eFed, you're a nobody. In my opinion, eFedders are just as credible and just as relevant as Simmers. There's big wrestlers in each respective part of their community. All right, and I respect everybody that do what they do in their respective part of their community. If they're working hard, and doing what they do, and it's being recognized for a reason. When some people are closed-minded about that and they like it or not, and there's people being recognized for their work for a reason. And it's because they like what they see and they want more from it. Regardless if it's an eFedder, doing well in a company, and people like his gimmick, or with Sim, people once again like their gimmick, or they put on a really good match. There is a similarity when it comes up to the at the end of the day, you're doing it to build a career, build a legacy, entertain people that are either that's what I'm trying to say, within the company or not. So, like, I've seen some joke, and I don't even know the jokes, but I've seen some people, some Simmers, like, say to a friend of mine that was a eFedder, say like, oh, don't say anything to me until you get in a company. This person said, well, I am in a company, and then that the other person replied with, oh, what are you in? All right, my friend said the company that she's part of, and goes, oh, well, that's the independent scene, that doesn't count. I don't like that closed mentality, and I know there's some people in this community that they act a certain way. Well, they go, well, if you don't like it, then sucks to be, or whatever the fuck. Well, you shouldn't really have that. You should respect whatever that person is doing. People need to respect that regardless of like what area it is, they're busting their ass, they're trying to make a name for their stuff, they're trying to entertain. I consider nothing really an independent scene. Like, there's times I've joked about small eFed companies as the independent scene, and and I've said it because other friends of mine have considered small eFed companies as the independent scene, and I can see why some people say that, but I say as a joke because, I don't want to say to a specific company that, they're part of the independent scene, because, it might get me to think that either they might be offended by it, or, they probably don't like being called that, and, they're trying to bust their ass, to grow as a company, like how individuals are trying to bust their ass to grow as, once again, an individual, But, that's my, take on it. I just think the whole, Sim versus eFed thing, it's very stupid, and, people just need to, and I'm not, like, forcing anybody, but I'm just saying, like, people should, respect on, who does what. Because, regardless of watching AI and portraying your character, or playing your match and portraying your character, at the end of the day, you're just trying to perform, you're trying to entertain, you're trying to build something for yourself and for the company that you're a part of. So, what's your guys' intake about it? Once again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So I'm just taking a sip of my soda. Alright. Now, tying in when it comes up to EFED, the next topic is the competitive nature of EFED. Alright, so some people probably have a close connection to this, and, you know, some people have strong opinions when it comes up to this. Zoe, or Riyadh, I don't know if you're in a party, but if you want to be a part of the podcast, like if you want to express your opinions, you know, I can join a party and you can, you know, talk along with the topics and, you know, give your opinions or anything along with the stream. But, continuing on, though, the competitive nature of EFED. So, obviously, you know, there is people in EFED that, you know, don't take this seriously. They take this lightly, they see it as for fun, you know, and that's what it is for fun. But, you know, I do see, true, my opinion sounds kinky, well, just invite me to party if you are. But no, going back to what I was saying, you just don't want argument from others. It's understandable if you don't. But, competitive nature. So, I keep backtracking a little bit. So, everyone, I do believe that everyone does do this, does EFED, you know, for the fun of it. You know, because it is a fun thing to do. But, you know, not everybody, you know, takes it lightly. And I will admit, excuse me, and I will admit, you know, I am one of the people that are very competitive, you know, takes it slightly serious. I don't take it from, like, complete 100% serious. But the thing is, you know, for me, my competitiveness just, it's been around, it's been built, you know, due to Call of Duty, for, you know, and probably even further than that since, you know, I was, like, playing video games at 4 years old, but probably through Call of Duty, which I've been doing for about 12 years. But the point is, you know, I will admit that I do have a competitive nature, so it's like, with me also connecting with some other people, you know, some of the times that, you know, you lose, you will get frustrated over it. You know, I don't get frustrated over, you know, regular losses or, you know, losses that I see is completely justified, like if it was a really good match and all that. But, you know, will you be bummed out a little bit? Yeah. You know, everyone does. But my point is, it's like, you know, with me and my competitive nature and some other people's competitive nature, you know, some people get annoyed from matches that they feel like they've lost, or, you know, if there was any BS or anything that they felt that shouldn't have happened or could have been prevented, or, you know, feel like that is the sole reason of why they lose. You know, there's been a lot of times where, you know, I would have good matches, and then maybe there's matches where I have where, you know, the AI is, you know, completely dumb. It's not doing anything. It's not fighting back, or it's not reversing. So all it's doing is, you know, just receiving an ass whooping the entire match. You know, struggling really hard to do what you want and what you try to build it to do. You know, of course, things like that, people are going to get people work so many hours for a card to work, and, you know, when they see that, you know, something they've worked so long on is not working, or, you know, yeah, no, I should say it's not working, like, people are going to get annoyed by it, because, you know, and, you know, if you agree with this or not, losing when you know you deserve to win sucks and it hurts, but all you can do is make story to make it so, yeah, like, you know, you definitely can do that, but, you know, not everybody does it that way, you know, and I used to be someone that, you know, doesn't do it that way, but, you know, at the time, it's because, you know, you're trying to build a name for yourself, you know, and I've seen it with a lot of people now, and, you know, how I used to be. You know, you look up to all these big people that are established, you know, have done all this stuff in your respective community, but you know, in this case, obviously we're talking about eFed. So you've seen all these people that are big in eFed, and you know, they've made a name for yourself, and you know, you are trying to bust your ass so you could be, you know, a top guy as well, so you can be established name, so you know, people can give you the reaction, you know, that you're like, oh, you know, I wish I had that reaction too on how, you know, those big guys get. So it's like, when you try so hard to make a name for yourself and, you know, you just keep losing and losing, you know, you're going to get frustrated by it. Because, you know, it just gives you this feeling of, you know, oh, you're not doing a good enough job, or oh, you're not going to become the next top guy, you know, whatever that. And, you know, a lot of companies, thankfully, are very, I guess, lenient. I don't know if that's the right word, but, like, there's a lot of companies that, you know, still do give guys that struggle, and regardless of they've already been big, or usually they look towards the new people. You know, they usually still give them a chance, you know, by putting them in a storyline or, you know, whatever, to keep them on the radar, is because they have the understanding that although you're struggling and you're trying to, you know, be, you know, one of the next top guys, and they have the understanding that you know, you're trying to make something, you know, out of yourself, they're not going to give up on you completely. They're not going to give up on you. They want to see people succeed. You know, in this community, regardless of the competitive nature or not, you know, individuals and company owners, they want to see people succeed. So that's why people still do get chances. But, you know, the owner, you know, they still just have the mentality of they're not going to be this or that, or they're not doing a good job because of them keep losing. You know, and it especially happens when, you know, you get, you know, squashed, or, you know, you just have what seems like a one-way match. Because people in this community, you know, agree with me or not, people hold on to things. You know, it can, you know, it can be just regular viewers. You know, you're trying so hard to make something out of yourself. Say you lost in a one-sided match, you're frustrated. It doesn't help that there is people out there that will hold that against you. You know, they'll crack jokes of it, or they'll keep bringing it up. You know, they just stick onto it. You know, it's like, it's kind of like they keep reminding you, you know, of something that, you know, frustrated you and didn't go your way, that you're trying so hard to, like, move past and improve on. You know, there's been so many times where, you know, I lose something and people just stick onto it and, you know, constantly talk about or joke about it. You know, to some people, you know, that is very annoying, and they hate that, you know, because they don't. And the reason being is because they want to be known for, you know, and of course, they want to be known for the good things and the cool things that they have done to be associated with. They want to be known, you know, as someone that is a hard worker and very dedicated. You know, seeing people, you know, stick onto things and, you know, keep speaking about or making jokes about it to you or against you, you know, it just gives you the mentality of, oh, so people are not looking at me for what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to be, but they're looking at me for this, that, and this, which is what I don't want. You know, people do think like that. I know from experience, because that's how I used to think. You know, being so new to this, when I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, you know, I want to be the big guy, one of the top guys like Mercer, Lyons, or Tone, or like Brian, or Carter Blackwell, you know, it does make you harsh on yourself. And congrats to Hangman Page for winning. But it does develop you being harsh on yourself. Because, you know, you put in so many hours to improve. You try to figure out the game. You try to learn the game. Try to improve yourself. And not only when it comes up to in-ring ability, but you try to find things about your character and how you promo. And you, like, end up critiquing yourself and nitpicking things about yourself. Because, you know, it does make people think, if I can't improve on this immediately, then, you know, maybe I can improve on character, promo ability, that, you know, people will like more or make it more unique. You basically stand out, and people try to go through something that way if in-ring ability improvement is not working immediately either. You know, and that's what I did. You know, seeing that I wasn't very consistent winning big matches or even being put in big opportunities, you know, what really helped me get elevated to some things was because of the character and the promo ability, and bookers and company owners and people in general look for things like that. Because obviously it's enjoyable to watch and people want to see more of it. People in this community do say that, you know, wins and losses aren't everything. In some cases, yes, it does apply, I should say. That does apply to some cases. But once again, you know, you can say things like that, but people will, you know, still be down on it. They'll still be harsh on themselves, they'll still be critiquing themselves about it. And, you know, everybody... I wasn't like, if it seems like everybody's secretly against each other or something like that. You know, they are friends and they do support, but it's like, you know, I'm pretty sure that has been times where people, you know, they're supporting like people, or maybe for example, they have like two friends of theirs and going against each other. No, they're supporting both, and like one loses and like, you know, secretly they're like, yeah, he lost, woo, you know. Because they get the mentality of like, oh, he lost his momentum, is like whatever down, and like maybe if I fight him I'll win, or like especially when it happens at feud, you know, obviously, you know, if that person loses, like you're basically celebrating like you won a world title. You're celebrating that the person you're feud with lost, you know, although you're supporting them because, you know, they're probably a friend of yours. You're just in there, you're like celebrating that they lost, you know, because you're like, yeah, more fuel for the tank, you know, more for their, you know, promo material or whatever that goes to the feud. So it's like in some cases with that, it can be a positive, but, you know, obviously majority of the time is a negative. So the competitive nature is there. You know, people will... The point is, people will complain about things that they feel is BS, and people will complain or be annoyed, I should also add that, by things that they feel like shouldn't have happened, is what the original point of all this was. You know, and a lot of people like to blame 2K, and sometimes it is 2K. You know, sometimes it is. And 2K is known for, you know, their AIs being inconsistent or dead. 2K is known for their glitches and bugs. So it's like, you know, 2K does play in a part in some of the faults, but like me, I have come to accept, and, you know, I know some other people have come to accept that it is not all of 2K's fault. You know, it can be partially of, you know, your cause fault, you know, depending on like how they're reacting to certain sliders of, you know, whatever you're participating in. I just want to see myself fight. Alright. Let's do... Screw it, CM Punk. Oh, I didn't confirm. Alright. Alright. So, like I said, people will do that. You know, as much as others find it annoying, or, you know, and I hate it. I hate it when people call out on it. You know, I have seen handfuls of people, you know, complain or get annoyed by things that they thought shouldn't have happened, or they think it's BS, or they lose a big match. You know, I've seen handfuls of people react that way to certain things. No one calls them out for it. No one brings it up. You know, they understand what they're going through and they let them be. You know, and the thing is, like, for me, you know, I get that sometimes, and of course for the same reasons as I just brought up, but like I said, I've seen people act like that, right? And this is what I do, right? I've seen people act like that. You know, I leave them be because I understand. I'm not going to call them out on it. I'm not going to be, you know, well, I'm not going to be, but like, I'm just going to leave them be. You know, that's the point. But yeah, I have seen people, you know, call me out on like, oh, but you act like this and you act like that. you know, to this and that. And people, and I don't even know if they're joking about this, but there are so many people that, like, to me say, oh, you do it at every loss. Where the hell did that come from? Because I don't get annoyed or I don't complain about every single loss, because I know every single loss is not done via bullshit or, you know, or the mentality of like, oh, that shouldn't have happened. As I said earlier, you know, there is losses that, you know, people don't get annoyed about. There's losses that people, you know, people accept because they're like, oh, you know, the match was phenomenal, or the match was good, you know, why should I be, you know, so mad about it, right? Or so be annoyed about it. But I'm specifically talking to the ones, for this case at least, I'm specifically talking about the ones that, you know, lose big matches or think they shouldn't have lost or lost via bullshit, you know, and they get called out by people like, oh, but you acted like this, you acted like that, you know, to this and that. You know, I find it unnecessary. I find it as, well, you've probably done it too, so, you know, why are you calling someone else out on it? You should understand, you should probably just leave them be and, you know, move on, right? I don't know, that's my take on it, though. What are all your opinions in the chat about it? You know, what do you think? What is all your opinions about the competitive nature of VFed? Sorry. Alright. If anyone has anything to say later on, I will read it. If anyone's got questions, I will read. But we're going to be going on to the last topic. And I don't know if I should get anyone to come on here to talk about this with me, because I do want someone else's perspective on this. Okay, no one's in there. Well, boo. Alright, well, the last topic is Unite. So I know this is a bit of a touchy subject to some. Well, maybe not touchy, it's not that serious, but I know this is a subject not going to be liked by some. And I'm not going to be like full on like, oh, pro Unite, because, you know, obviously there has been some things I have heard or have slightly argued, you know, a little debate in the Unite Discord that, you know, some of the things are said or perceived as that I disagree with or that I don't like, you know. So I'm not like pro Unite everything. You know, there's some things I've disagreed with and that I don't like. So I want to see if anyone wants to get a part for this. Let's see. I'm trying to find like someone interesting that would talk about this. Well, I don't know. Is it? I'm not watching Raw, so. But all right, the last topic, Unite. So, Unite, like, on paper, I can see what they're going for. You know, on paper, I like what they're doing. You know, a community to give basically everybody a chance if they so choose to, you know, go for it. You know, I like that. You know, on paper, it sounds great. So, of course, they have been doing a good job. They are putting out content, you know, with Unite Rivals and some like special event type videos and their big pay-per-views and all that. And for those that don't know what Unite is basically the descendant of FAM, which is Forever Movement, a company that was around for so many years. I want to say nearly a decade? I'm not sure. I can't remember. But the point is, like, for a company that's been around forever and was more, I don't want to say they were basically a closed group, but from what I heard, you know, it kind of felt like that way. It was like you can only be invited to FAM, where in this case with Unite, you know, you can like pay to get in it. And that's one of the topics that we're gonna get into, you know, the fact of paying. You know, people don't like that, that you have to pay to be part of a virtual wrestling product. Now, like, I ask questions sometimes over there, you know, just to really get my mindset more open when it comes up to both perspectives of, like, people pro Unite and, you know, against Unite. Once again, what they're going for on paper sounds good, but paying to be on there is, you know, something some people don't like and some people, you know, don't care about. You know, paying $10 to have a chance to be a part of a match or a segment or whatever. Some people look at that and say that, you know, that is terrible, and, you know, why would people waste any type of money for something like that? You know, there has been people that have that mindset and have expressed that. I can see why people feel that way, but for me, like, I'm one of those people that, you know, I didn't care, because at the time when I first got in, you know, I was working like $11 an hour, you know, the minimum wage for Walmart. I want to say, yeah, it was full-time. You got paid bi-weekly. So it's like, you know, for me, at least at that time, $10 a month wasn't a problem. And, like, when it first came around, you know, they were still in GawkBox. So, like, all you had to do, like, if you didn't want to pay, you could just play games, earn points, and, like, you bought a fucking sticker, I think it was, like, a sticker on, or badge on GawkBox. Whatever it was, you know, you could have just done that, go through that process, like, wouldn't be a big deal, you know. But people still didn't like the idea of paying to be in it, to have a chance to be showcased in it. Now with it comes up to them being on Patreon, obviously, like that was thing with GawkBox, you know, playing things just so you can earn points to be a part of it. You know, obviously that's not a thing anymore, because GawkBox pretty much ended that option, causing Unite to go over to Patreon. So I think, yeah, it's still 10, to be honest. Like, they have different tiers. I think they have one less than 5, but I can remember there's like a 5, there's a 10, 20, I want to say 50, 100, and I can't remember some others. But it's like, obviously with the tiers, there is more benefits with each tier. You know, obviously so. But some people would think, well, to pay at least $10 to be possibly part of the product, you know, maybe that's a bit too high, maybe that's unnecessary, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. I've looked at it like, you know, once again, to some that's not a problem, and maybe to some others they would say, well, maybe do it with the $5 pledge or the one that's like shorter than that. Maybe do that. So that's maybe more of a reasonable, you know, amount to possibly be on the show. Now, some may think that, but not everyone thinks like that. Some of the mentality, though. Here comes some of the. I'm not gonna say tea. I'm not starting anything. Let's do that. So, I don't know why did I say mentality? No, like some of the perspectives. So, of course, there is extremists on all sides. You know, there's extremists for EFED, there's extremists for SimEs, where you already covered for the Sim for ZFED, and there's Unite extremists. And I'm not saying extremists like, you know, like this is bad, like, you know, they'll say whatever the fuck they feel like comes to mind to, you know, belittle others. You know, some have respect and, well, at least respect for some other areas of the community, but they still, like, say things about it that are like, well, why would you say that, you know, or why are you thinking like that? And I'm not going to name names, but, you know, I have seen and heard, like, cases of, like, oh, well, you know, they're the minor leagues, and, you know, this is the big leagues, and you know, or things like, oh, there's no real gimmicks out there, and, you know, oh, it's just people in tights or trunks or whatever just doing matches. That there's like real no meaning and real no story or whatever to it. For me, being a part of all three sections of this community, because I feel like there's three sections of this community, or four. There's EFEDers, Simmers, Casuals, which, you know, usually goes along with, you know, I could say Unite/casual players or fans of the 2K games, and then you got the YouTubers. So, with me being a part of the 3 out of the 4 parts of sections of this community, you know, I have quite an understanding, at least a little, for every single respective area of this community, right? So, when I hear people in Unite, you know, belittle, or Harris, what are you talking about? So when I hear people, you know, belittle or, you know, just go to this, oh, well, they're the minor leagues, Unite is the only, like, big league. Well, they think like that with the reasoning of, you know, because they have the best graphic and best product overall and major viewership. Yeah, they do. I will give them that. They have amazing graphics. They have amazing product quality. Undertaker. And they do get a lot of viewership. You know, they give them the benefit of the doubt. They do. But I wouldn't consider them just them as the only big league. You know, in my opinion, I think there's a lot more out there, like ROX, Valor, Fame, CWA, COH, TCW, and Pawn. You know, all of those I've listed are big in their own respective areas of this community. And obviously there's more. I'm just listing some examples, right? So, you know, sometimes I tend to argue or try to defend other parts of this community. You know, with, well, just because, you know, for example, like COH, you know, just because COH doesn't get, like hundreds or thousands of viewers on a consistent, like, all the time basis, doesn't make them a minor league. You know, they still, places like COH can average from about 30 through 50 to 60 something viewers consistently. You know, knowing how little EFED is and how small this community is in general, you know, I say that is a pretty good number. You know, because I've seen there is a lot of places out there. There's a lot of small companies. There's a lot of like casual universe streamers that get way less than that all the time. So the fact that there is companies out there that can average from like either 20 through 60 or whatever viewers, you know, on a weekly basis, to me, in my eyes, that is a big and successful company. That is not a minor league. That is a big league. You know, because obviously their product, there's something about their product that people like. They constantly tune in with, or for, I should say, they constantly tune in for, and they want to continue to see what that product gives. You know, whether it's consisting of the storylines or all the gimmicks that are in it. And that's another thing, gimmicks. There is gimmicks in EFED. You know, I've heard some people in United say, well, there really isn't gimmicks in EFED. Well, there is. You know, there's been times where I've argued, well, I would list a person and be like, well, that's a gimmick. And they're like, that's not a gimmick, that's a personality trait. I'm like, well, that is a gimmick. You know, and they said, well, you want to know what my gimmick is? My gimmick is this. Okay. Well, when I heard that, and like I didn't think that immediately, I'm like, all right, you know, that is your gimmick. That's what you do. That's what you portray as. All right. Okay. What is that supposed to mean? You know, because I sat there and thought, okay, well, you said that's your gimmick. That's who you try to portray as. You know, that's you. I'm sitting there thinking like, well, some of the people that listen and even some more, their gimmick is this. And they portray that, and they try to be that. You know, that's not personality trait. You know, and I was at a party talking to some people, and when I brought that up, and I told them what that person said, well, my gimmick is this. Well, they said, well, they're like, well, if that person's going to say to, you know, A, B, and C, oh, that's not gimmick, that's a personality trait. It's ironic because what that person said, oh, this is what my gimmick is also that would be also classified as a personality trait. And I didn't think about that. I'm like, well, you know, you're kind of right there, you know. And I like being part of Unite personally. You know, I haven't had any problems there. I enjoy being there. I'm not like in their Discord talking like all the time. You know, I come in like to say hi and hang out like, you know, here and there, maybe like once, like maybe 2 or 3 times a fucking week, you know, for maybe about an hour or two. You know, like that's how frequent I am in there, you know, talking to them and hanging out, you know, and, you know, enjoying my time being there while I'm there, you know. But there has been so many instances where, you know, I just think, you know, they shouldn't have this perspective on other companies or the world of CAW outside of Unite, because there is a lot more out there. You know, there is gimmicks, there's amazing product, you know, everyone is improving, you know, whether it's their product quality or their viewership. There is people out there that are trying to better themselves and, you know, want to get out there more. Some people, well, not some people, excuse me, no, they think, well, not, I don't know why I'm saying they, like all of them, sorry, but there has been some people that I've had discussion with, you know, they think, well, you know, all those viewers that they get is because it's a friend group, so they don't count as an actual viewer. Well, that doesn't make sense. You know, just because they're a friend of yours, that doesn't devalue them as an actual viewer that legitimately watches the product. Because, you know, if they're there just because they're your friend and not there because they actually like the show, then they wouldn't be tuning into the show to begin with. You know, some of them wouldn't be watching to begin with, some wouldn't be participating in it to begin with. You know, people who have a same common, or what should I say, common interests will communicate with one another more, and therefore with the possibility of leading to grow a friendship. So just because, like, for example, a company owner has a friendship connection with some of he or she's viewers, that doesn't mean that those viewers are now your friends are just devalued as just friends now and not a legitimate viewer of the product that they like to see. I've had that discussion before, and some of them are understanding, and some of them some of them don't, or majority of them I should say, don't always look at things outside of Unite as nothing or illegitimate or just this, just that, right? But there has been some instances where I have heard and have discussions of people that have thought or spoke their mind in that manner. I will always defend everything the way I see fit and as best as I can, because I word some things wrong. I'm terrible at wording shit. Some people probably have heard that, heard terrible wording from this. I get that. That's a bad trait of mine. I need to work on it. But the point is, there has been quite a bit of times where it just feels like a close-minded perspective on what's out there, what's outside the walls of Unite, what's really out there, and all that. Oh, Rannick. Oh, goddamn. 1, 2, GG, wow. But, I don't understand it sometimes, and I don't think I will understand it. Some of them have thought, well, if you say this and that person, people are going to know them, because of the gimmicks and everything they've done, because they're a part of whatever product, or a part of this product, And it's alright, people will know them, alright? If they do, they do. They don't, they don't. But, not everyone is going to be like that. If people, if you bring up Rannick, and some, they're well, if you talk about Rombuster, people are going to know who Rombuster is, But if you talk about, this or that person from EFED, people are going to be well, who's that? I don't know who that is. Okay, so if they don't? It is possible for people to find new things. People can expand. People can have a whole lot broader perspective, I should say again. I don't know. I'm once again terribly wording things. But my point is people can expand their view, I should say. Yeah, view. And which will lead to, eventually people, instead of the idea of oh, if you talk about Rom, people are going to know Rom. Or, for example, but if you talk about Ryan Swift, no one's going to know Ryan Swift, Eventually, people are going to now be oh, if you talk about Rombuster, people are going to know Rombuster. If you talk about Connor Smoke, people are going to know Connor Smoke, on an equal level. Because I believe growth as a community. I believe in the community growing as a whole, not individual things, growing, and then, some people are being well, we're bigger than this, so, they don't matter, or, whatever, Unite is not all that bad, a lot, and, 99% of the people in there are not bad people. Or maybe not, maybe 98, 99% of the people in there are not all that bad. But, the fact is, with me being in that Discord and, hearing some of the things I've heard and some of the discussions I've had and maybe some of the arguments I've had, just seeing and hearing the perspective and mindset of people when it comes up to them talking about Unite and what's outside of it, it just dumbfounds me sometimes. Like, I can't fathom some of the things that are said, because I'm like, there's more to this than, you know, than what they think, you know. There's a lot more depth to it. There's a lot more reasoning behind it, you know, for whatever they think and what they express their opinion on. All right, they have full right to express their opinion, of course, but, you know, there's been so many instances where I hear them, you know, express their opinion on, like, some of the either individuals or companies outside of Unite, and I'm sitting there, well, there is more to it than just that. There's more depth, you know. It's not just this, that, or whatever, you know. But maybe I'll touch up on this subject maybe in a different part of the edition, I should say, of the podcast, maybe with someone else, so, you know, there's another voice, a part of this podcast than just me, and, you know, we can, you know, probably pick off of one another some of the perspectives and maybe some of the questions or whatever, you know, just to give more, so there's more than just my voice and more than just my perspective on some of the things. But I want to thank everybody that came by. This was the first Crazy Talk podcast in a while, in a long time, actually. Yeah, in a long time, because the last one was like about 2 years ago in December. So I want to thank everybody that came by. Thank you for listening to the Crazy Talk podcast. I've been wanting to do this for quite a while. I want to bring it back because I like doing this. I like, you know, speaking and talking my mind on some of the things. And I like, you know, that some people can come on and, you know, have a platform to, you know, express how they feel on some topic as well. So if there's a time that you want to come on the Crazy Talk podcast, express your opinions on something, just, you know, give out your perspective, you know, to whatever platform, let me know. But I don't know when the next time I'm going to do the Crazy Talk podcast is, but at least people came by, took a listen, gave some of their opinions for this one, and once again, I say thank you, and I will see you guys in a few minutes. I'm going to start up another stream. I'm going to do an actual stream right after this, so everyone stay tuned. Once again, thank you for listening to the podcast.